Get down to the political fight later because, of course, you have the Congress coming in stating that the government's gotten scared of the caste census. That's been what their official line is. Therefore, trying to create, a moment right now by attacking journalists in NewsClick. But let's get down to it on what is a very grave question that needs to be asked, because right now, and I want to bring into this conversation our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai, who's also a member of the News Guild of India, a scathing a letter which has been written, a statement given out by the News Guild suggesting that everything needs to be above board, that if there is evidence, then it needs to be presented above board before action of what we've seen was taken today. Rajdeep, what do you make? Because there is now a debate which seems to suggest that journalists always soft targets, number one. Intimidation tactics, because the journalists who have been raided, yes, they've been associated with the NewsClick, but they've not been terribly kind. They've been very scathing of reportage when it comes down to the government. So a lot of people are also associating it with intimidation tactics. However, the government's very clear, or even the Delhi Police Special says, whatever source-based information that we have, is that these were propagandists.
Preeti, 2 or 3 points. First, the Editors Guild of India statement clearly says that while we appreciate that due process of law must be followed, the fact is you cannot use, or you should not be using draconian laws to criminally intimidate journalists. So we're drawing a distinction. No one is saying that the journalists are above the law, far from it. But at the same time, you've got to be very clear that when you go and raid and detain journalists, you're not going through a process of a witch hunt, criminally using criminal laws like UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, to then target and detain journalists. Has
it been the first time that an anti-terror law has been used against journalists in this country?
We had Siddique Kappan,
yes,
who was going to cover what happened in Hathras, and he spent more than 2 years in jail. But Preeti, what stands out here is that you are saying that this organization, NewsClick, was funded through money routed through an overseas Chinese or an American with Chinese links and the Communist Party of India of China links. If you can prove that, and you've had a money laundering case that's already been in place for the last couple of years, it's not that this happened today, please put the information out in public. A. B. More seriously, what have you gone and done? You've gone and raided and detained journalists who have not a direct role in the operations of NewsClick. You've got graphic designers, you've got consultants. Some of them 70-year-old consultants that who are paid not very much. Over 2-3 years, you put out a figure, or the government sources are putting out figures that 40 lakhs was paid. The 40 lakhs has been paid over 3 years. That's 36 months. You're effectively paying them, 1 lakh plus per month for videos that they put out. The point is that you seem to be at the moment engaging in, dare I say, a fishing expedition or a witch hunt that could send a chilling effect right down the line. If junior employees working for NewsClick are going to be detained simply because you believe that NewsClick is getting money through, is getting Chinese funds, it is setting a very dangerous precedent. God forbid tomorrow a major media organization was caught in the crosshairs of the Enforcement Directorate or indeed the special cell of the Delhi Police. Are you going to go and detain the smallest employees in that organization who are simply there to do a job? I think we've got to step back, therefore, and look at the wider picture. This is sending out completely the wrong message at a time when India is among the lowest when it comes to press freedom index. So there are serious questions that the government must answer. It cannot be always seen as business as usual. You want to follow the process of law, please do it. But please do it on hard information that you've got. And please put that information out once you've got it in the public domain. You've had 2 years. This is a 2021 case that in 2023, you're now converting from a PMLA to a more draconian, dangerous
anti-terror law. Yes, anti-terror law. But Rajdeep, do you also find it strange somewhere down the line that most are quoting the New York Times here, because this was a piece, and what we've seen, at least the action, the optics of it all, come at the back of a report that the New York Times carried, which, on many occasions, there have been multiple reports that the New York Times has carried, and very publicly have been derided by the Bharatiya Janata Party itself, so many times in our own studios.
Yeah, that's one of the ironies of this. The fact, Preeti, is that this is a case, as I said, which was first filed in 2021. Right. So it's not as if the New York Times article is only of a couple of months ago, of July of 2023. So you already had an ongoing investigation. The New York Times has given you some more ammunition, possibly. by all means, investigate whatever you have, but do it in a manner that doesn't smack, to my mind, of simply intimidating journalists, waking them up early morning, going to, across Delhi and other places, picking up journalists, bringing them, spending, and being asked, from what I gather, they've been asked the same questions again and again. Are you an employee? How are you being paid? I mean,
soft targets?
All of this should have been done. What were you doing over the last 2 years? You had a PMLA ongoing investigation. Why didn't you act on it? Of course, I think journalists are soft targets. I genuinely believe journalists are very soft targets, particularly, dare I say, those who come from small news portals. They do not have the security that those perhaps in larger organizations have. You can well say that the Editors Guild is doing little except issuing statements.
How do you know we are saying that?
No, because you see, there is this cynical view that, why didn't you speak out? Let me tell you one thing today, because I've been seeing it on social media. The Editors Guild of India also stood up when Arnab Goswami, for example, was picked up by the Uddhav Thackeray government in Maharashtra a couple of years ago, even though Mr. Goswami had walked out of the Editors Guild. I want viewers to know this. The Editors Guild of India stood by him. None of these individuals, though, have stood by other fellow journalists when they are detained and targeted. Every journalist, I believe, should at least be given the benefit of the doubt. You have evidence against them, throw them in the cling. What happened to Siddique Kappan? Where is the evidence till today? The man spent 2.5 years in jail under UAPA, denied bail repeatedly. Supreme Court eventually stepped in. And we still don't know what exactly was the nature of Siddique Kappan's offense, besides saying that he was someone who was linked to the PFI, which at that time was not a banned organization. So I think these are serious questions that need to be answered by someone.
Well, all right, that impassioned note made by Rajdeep Sardesai also came from a conversation that he and I were having prior to the show. Appreciate you joining us, Rajdeep.